The story is focused on a high school where students are given a bit more decision and control. In this school, the student council members go through a more formal election process which places a higher importance on gaining votes throughout the year in hopes of getting the all-prestigious student council president position. The story is focused on Alya, a transfer student who's half Russian and Japanese. She's considered cold from the other student.
だったら連絡先だけでも交換してくれないかな。
すいませんが、私はあなたに興味がありません。
There is one student who Alya doesn't act cold with, being her classmate Kuze, who she secretly likes but hides her feelings by expressing them in Russian only. Little does she know, Kuze knows Russian, hence the name. Alya sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. The first thing that really impressed me about this anime was the detail and the movement in some scenes. Oftentimes in anime, especially a rom-com, a lot of scenes are just focused on quick back and forths during dialogues, with some pretty basic directing, and sometimes maybe some moving shots in the background with the voices being heard. However, Alya is full of subtle movements across from these characters when they're speaking. Some parts of their body could be moving, some expressions could be shown in the background. This isn't really something I've seen in many animes, especially rom-coms before. In addition, the anime style is overall pretty nice looking. Nothing unique, but outside of Ayla's design, the less common designs of white hair and bright blue eyes, the rest of the cast is pretty generic anime high school designs. I do wonder if that was done on purpose though, considering that Alya has a unique background. Was it done to maybe potentially emphasize her difference? Outside of these subtle movements though, the rest of the directing was pretty standard as you would see in a rom-com. But I think with just a bit more budget really, more dynamic movements, better lighting in some scenes. Nothing unique, but isn't that bad. The same could honestly be said for the music. I can't really remember the music all that much from the show, but one thing that was unique was each episode had a completely new ending song, each with a unique ending video or music video essentially. Apparently these are remakes of old pop songs. Did it really add to the overall experience? No, not really, but it was there. And that's basically my feeling something from the music. It didn't really detract from the show at all, but I didn't really feel like it added anything either and made it stand out. Moving on to story, the story is kind of split in two. One being the developing relationship between Alya and Kuze as they get closer and slowly be more honest about their feelings to each other, while the second story is being the student council election. It's clear that the election is supposed to be the main plot that drives the story forward, while the romance kind of exists there to kind of meet the rom-com aspects and where it comes to foray. In some way, it feels like the student council election plot kind of holds the series back. I understand the goal of the plot is in essence to help Alya grow as a person, from someone who refused to ever get help from others and instead believes hard work alone will result in success, to someone who is willing to work with others and also better understand people's feelings when considering decisions. However, Kuze's character almost acts as a deterrent to this. It's understandable early on that Alya would rely on Kuze, who has mastered the skill to be leading the charge on situations, but I would expect Alya to start being able to make her own decisions by the end of the season. Every single problem Alya comes into during the season is solved by Kuze, and yet we're supposed to feel as though they're equals in this president-vice president relationship. The one time Kuze is forced to stand aside, Alya essentially fails, and that's what's kind of emphasized by the storytelling. I'm willing to give the benefit of doubt for now, considering it's only the first season, but it is a bit of a worrying problem with the writing, especially now Kuze's character development is looking to be placed in higher importance starting next season. In addition, the student council election part always felt off in the series. Rather than feel mixed in, it felt more like an A and B plot, where we have the rom-com shenanigans going on, then a sudden tonal shift to the election top, and then a sudden tonal shift back to the rom-com shenanigans. It's also not made clear why we should care about this election. It's explained that these students hold a lot of power in the school, but isn't really shown well, and that's kind of the main issue. We're told about things that happened during this election, but not really shown in. We're told the student council has a lot of power in administration of the school, but it's not really shown. We're told Ayla's interview was a crushing defeat for her, but it's not really kind of shown what the aftermaths of it were. We're told rumors are spreading, but not shown the rumors being spread or the way it's affecting people's impressions. On the rom-com side, however, it's really solid. The writing is much better than expected. Kuze and Alya are really cute together, honestly, with solid banter and them trying to tease each other all the time. That's probably the show's greatest strength. I can easily believe these two being together and interested in each other, which can sometimes be hard to find in some anime. It's also fun to see how they develop as Alya becomes more forward with her teasing, and as the show goes on, the gimmick of Alya saying her honest feelings in Russian is nice as it plays well in the comedy aspect. Alya is strong-headed and refuses to give in, and Kuze gets glimpses into her actual feelings, thereby not relying on the miscommunication trope at all in this series. It also doesn't rely solely on that whole gimmick of the Russian talk, which is an issue a lot of other anime rom-coms tend to have. It switches up the comedy, using other set pieces and aspects of the characters' personalities to build into the economy. Is it the funniest show? No, not at all, but the rom-com enjoyers, the comedy adds to the characters at the very least, and is enjoyable to watch even if the jokes don't necessarily make you laugh. On the rom-com side, I'd say the weakest point is probably Yuki's character. Yuki is Kuze's little sister. For plot reasons, their sibling relationship is kept a secret from the rest of society. Yuki's character is hugely important in the election plotline, but on the rom-com side, she mainly acts as a comedic character, with her secretly being a huge anime nerd and thus acting like and making situations in reference to anime tropes. She's either a character you'll really love or really dislike, and I end up falling more in the dislike category, as her constant trope references didn't really land with me in terms of the comedy. In addition, while the dynamic between Yuki and Kuze is enjoyable at times, it's also uncomfortable at times due to the odd incestuous undertones that exist between Yuki and Kuze, more so on Yuki's side.
Good morning, my brother.
たった今お前のせいでグッドじゃなくなったわ。
おいおい、かわいい妹による寝起き。
Which stands as quite odd when it feels like she's meant to be a subversion of the little sister trope, but most of her actions don't really feel like a change from her tropes. She's a good example of how Kuze and Ayla are clearly written to be unique from the standard rom-com characters, while the rest of the cast, while they attempt to be, are really not, and instead very much your standard archetypes. I think that's the best way to kind of describe the series. It's very much, it feels like a 2000s era rom-com with its tropes and its kind of setup and such, even the tsundere kind of aspects of Ayla's characters. But at the same time, Ayla and Kuze bring a unique aspect to the story, which in turn makes it clearly the best part and where the show really shines. Overall, I would consider the show like a good dessert. You have your Kit Kats and your store-bought sweets if you're looking for a quick sweet to satisfy your urges, but Ayla is more like a premium brand chocolate. You don't always get it, but it is more satisfying than regular chocolate, but not quite as fulfilling as say like a restaurant-made dessert. It's better than most rom-coms, but it isn't also unique either. I'd only recommend this to any rom-com junkie such as
それ
myself.
じゃあお手並み拝見といこうか。お姫様。
ちょっと